And welcome to the weekly wrap up with me, Jay Cleveland Payne. This for the week ending October 22nd, 2022. I am here with you on an experimental journey here to see how this thing is going to work because we're not quite sure how it's going to work. If you're watching us in the live stream, thank you so much for joining us on a Sunday evening. We're going to see how this thing works. So if you're listening to us on the podcast replay afterwards, then thank you so much for that as well. If you are a longtime follower of the Conversation Project, this is Conversation, all those things, you remember back in the day, the weekly wrap up was the showcase, the jewel, if you will, of the Conversations newsletter and all the things we tried to do, different podcasts back then, where every day we had a newsletter of the top stories and we came up with the top 10 stories of the week. We're going to do that right here in this format. The way we tabulated is going to be a little weirder, so it took us a while to kind of figure it out. But we have a tabulation of the top 10 stories, essentially based on the day that you guys saw as conversational. So I'm going to present to you here today. If you're watching us live in the video, you'll see the stories. We don't have links to them yet. We're working kinks out. If you're seeing the replay, you're watching the replay, or if you're listening on the podcast, you'll just get the headlines from the past week. We'll tell you how you can sign up so you make sure you don't miss out on the daily features, and we're going to see just how well this feature is going to go. Now, this is a live recording, so there'll be some guffaws, coughs like that, sounds of sipping coffee, and plenty of ums and ahs. So prepare for that for yourself. If you're a podcast listener, if you're a video listener, I will do my best to not be as distracting and not let my voice do that thing right there. Now, like I said, this is experimental, so we're going to see how well this go. Check out the website. This is theconversationproject.com and our feeds on Facebook and Twitter, so you can make sure you're voting in stories throughout the week, throughout the days, to see what's going on. And of course, tomorrow morning at 5:50, we'll present for you the things you might have heard for the weekend. That's going from Friday at midnight to about 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. That span of time of 3 days plus about 5 hours. We're going to get about 100, well, about 90 stories, maybe 100, probably not 100. We're going to get about a 90 or so stories. We're going to pick from the top 30 stories and present them to you as things you can chat about to start your week off with for conversation. Enough chit chat for this. This always takes a while to explain. I don't know why people don't understand that when they evaluate your podcast, but let's get into the stories from the past week going forward. And I'm going to try to look over my shoulder and look at the notes I have here to give you more details for the stories as they go along. But first, or second, or third, it helps if you have the right page up. Like I said, this is on the fly, so bear with me, folks. We're going to do our best. The first story that we had, or actually the 10th story, going 10 to 1, because that's where all the actual suspense comes from, is this one. Liz Truss ditches another big tax cut and fires her finance minister. Liz Truss had a pretty bad week last week. The biggest story for her in actuality is the fact that she doesn't have a job anymore. She has a job. She has pulled herself out of the running for being prime minister, even though she's prime minister. That means she resigned. Along the way, Boris Johnson has a way to come back, and we've posted a story for the going forward where he's basically saying no. So Great Britain will have its third prime minister in 6 weeks. We shall see what happens. But the big news is that Liz Truss early in the week ditched her big tax plan, brought in the chancellor to bring in his tax plan, and fired the finance minister she put in place to put forth her tax plan because it was a bad tax plan. Story at the 9th spot this week. Deshaun Watson faces new lawsuit from 25th woman who alleged incident in December 2021 for alleged incident in December 2020. Just can't read today. I guess that's how it goes. So Deshaun Watson was able to clear his books of all the other charges he had back when he was a Houston Texan before he was traded to the Cleveland Browns, starting off his new life in football. New city, new town, a team that really didn't necessarily need a new quarterback. They wanted to spark some new life and everything, so they brought a new guy in. They had to work his troubles out. The Houston Texans had troubles to work out on Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson found a way to not so much clear his name, but at least get all the activity done. Except now there's new activity now done. Going back to December of 2020. Yes, that's almost 2 years ago, but statute of limitations. This is the 25th woman to allege an incident of really bad behavior during a massage. We will see how this one plays out because this one is fresh and brand new and a whole new setting of statute of limitations. A story coming in at number 8 for the full week. That's going all the way from last Friday to all the way to the beginning of this Friday, if you will. Russian state TV journalist who denounced Ukraine war flees the country. This one I didn't edit, like it's from the fly, so I didn't edit this very well if you're watching it, but that is the link that you can't click. It's in the video to this article we pulled for that one. What's the deal? The lady who walked across the screen or behind the lady journalist with a sign saying the Ukraine war is bad, got put on house arrest, was about to be released from house arrest, and then she disappeared. And then she really left the country. A week ago, her lawyer said, I don't know where she is. She's not here. And then this week, her lawyer said, she's gone. She's gone far away. She fled the country. She can't find her. We don't know where she is. She fled with her daughter, apparently. And so we're going to assume she's someplace safe. We don't know if she's going to actually have the braveness to show her face someplace. Probably not. But this is a big deal for people who are looking for the propaganda that is the Russian stuff. A lady who tried to break through the propaganda window is now escaped the nation of Russia. We'll see what happens later with her. Number 7, refs were running for their lives after Tennessee beat Alabama. Last weekend was the big weekend of football where Tennessee, the Vols, beat Alabama Crimson Tide on their home stadium, which means chaos and all sorts of mayhem happened from the stands falling into line, or actually not quite falling in line, actually falling into chaos and running across the field and doing very bad things, to include, well, we'll get to that in a bit, actually. We'll get to that in just a moment. But the refs who were officiating the game were basically afraid for their lives as the Alabama fans went nuts because they the first time beat Alabama, I think in like 7 seasons. And of course, knocking Alabama for most part out of real contention for a national championship. Alabama's been in the championship hunt every single year since they've had the college football playoff. So Alabama always has a top tier team. Alabama's always number 1 or 2 or maybe 3, and Alabama loses no more than 2 games a season. This is a big game, so they're not technically knocked out of full contention, but this is a big game against a big opponent that would knock them out of the viewpoint of other stuff, especially with expansion coming. We'll have more on Tennessee because we're doing the top 10 stories. We didn't do any super story combination like we did back in the past, but we'll have more on Tennessee literally in about 3 clicks. So click number this one. Police find multiple human remains in Oklahoma River amid search for 4 missing men. This is a tragic story where not only they find enough remains for counting these people, but more people. Check out the links that we have. We'll maybe do this in the newsletter or check it out as you go. Look up the story and see how this one is coming out. This one is still playing itself out along the way. Like I said, they have quite a way to get links to this thing this week because we're doing this on the fly and trying to do it in a pithy manner. But this is a story that is not quite done yet. Check this one out. This one, the 6th loaded story of the week, posted extremely early. This one lasted all the way through Saturday, all the way through the end of the week at its ranking. The 5th story of the week, basically 5th engaged story of the week. James Corden banned from New York City restaurant owner says. Misrated that day. James Corden banned from New York City restaurant coma owner says. Now, along the way of this one, it had 2 other updates. This was the original one where James Corden apparently came into the establishment, had a fly in his soup, a hair in his pasta, something that was not exactly good, and he was really, really nasty about that. The owner says James Corden is pretty much like that all the time, pretty much a jerk all the time. He is banned. Next day, James Corden made an apology, and the story turns to owner unbans James Corden from the New York restaurant after the apology. But apparently, a few days later, something else happens, and he's rebanned. And the owner goes deeper into the situation, saying that not only is James Corden pretty bad with his customers and his staff just being a jerk on his dining experiences, but his wife is basically worse. James Corden now again rebanned from the same restaurant. We're hearing lots of stories now that James Corden is going back to the UK about how James Corden is not exactly the good actor that people think he is. Not good in acting, but being a good guy and all that stuff. We will probably hear more of these stories as he prepares his way out the door. But until then, this is just one example of how you don't know the people you think you know. Oh, looky here. Tennessee's back in the news. The number 4 spot was Tennessee fans stormed the field after Vols beat Alabama. Yes, we posted it twice. Yes, we did it that way. It just sort of happened in the mix. But these are two different stories. The first one was the fans stormed the field and the refs were really, really freaked out. The second one was the whole narrative of the fans storming the field. This one right here, where they took over everything. They went nuts. They tore down the goalpost. They found a way eventually to get them out of the stadium because apparently they don't get to tear down goalposts very well. They paraded them down the streets, and then because they don't know what to do with goalposts when they tear them down, they threw them in the river for them to be trashed. What turned to this? Well, the story continued here as we posted things. They, being Tennessee, fined $100,000. The president of Tennessee said, "I love it, no matter what the cost it is, for just being rowdy because it is illegal. It is also unsafe." But it is wrong behind the bylines for any team, any fan base to storm the field after a game because it's unsafe. So there's that. They also had to buy new goalposts. I'm not sure if they bought them for this weekend. I'm not sure they actually played this week or not. The team, where I follow Arkansas because I'm here. Arkansas had a bye this week, and I knew that was there. I'm not sure if Tennessee had a bye or not, but they've got to buy or had to buy new goalposts, and that costs money as well. So that all comes down to that one. But Tennessee, take your favor as you can. Once a powerhouse back before they had this football championship thing. Now it's just always Alabama, always Georgia, always Clemson. We'll see if they can sneak into the playoffs this year. Number 3 story, Courtney Clenny pleaded for help before death of boyfriend. This is a story that I got a little bit of backlash for. So if you kept up with the feeds, and I think this was a story in Twitter where there was a lot of chat on this one, where it was basically no, she didn't. That's not true. A lot of things going on in that one. This is a story that essentially I would not have picked up on, except we have to fill our feeds with all this story and stuff for 24/7. And so this fit a bill, as in this was a late night story to put in there. Apparently the late night was the right night because a lot of time got into it. A lot of people got into it, I should say. A lot of people discussed it, and it got a lot of engagement, actual engagement inside of the feeds. Thank you for that. Check out the link for the story and get deeper into details into this one as it happened. Number 2 story, one I actually sort of took some time to bitch and complain about, was Kyle Rittenhouse launches YouTube channel about guns. And as I said in the commentary the day this was posted, posted for Thursday, or posted for Thursday, so I probably talked about it for Friday. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Let Kyle Rittenhouse try to make a living doing something that he knows something about with the guns. Now, on the flip side, should we really engage in what he's doing? No, not really. You should probably not watch his YouTube channel. But if that's what he wants to do, and that's if it weren't for the fact that he, shot and killed 2 people and injured another guy running around as a young adult who was not actually old enough to own the gun where he was and in a place where he didn't live, defending people who didn't really ask him to do that. There's a whole lot of things wrapped up into that one right there. But making a YouTube channel and just talking about guns, yeah, he's an adult. Go for it. Just don't give him any money, because that would be patronizing. But people are going to do it anyway. The number 1 story for the past week is this one. It was posted last Sunday, so it lasted the whole weekend on the barrage. We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of weekend stories get a lot of big coverage and stick around for a long period of time of what's going on. Russian troops kill Ukrainian musician for refusing role in Kyrgyzstan concert. You've heard a lot about Kyrgyzstan all week long, and the fact that there's a lot of heavy fighting there, and they're killing people, and they are cutting power and water and making life hell all over Ukraine, focusing on this very key port in Kyrgyzstan. We started off last week with a story about a Russian musician who refused a role in a concert playing for the Russians wanted to celebrate their liberation, air quotes, of Kyrgyzstan. He wouldn't do it. He was killed. This one was the top story of all week. The engagement on this one, 10%, 9.02% of all the people who watched all of our stories, 169 of them this week, engaged with this story right here. Now, we'll work the kinks out on all this stuff going forward and how to explain that. Right now, these are what we call the almost rans, the stories that were not quite in range. We got them all on one slide, so bear with me. They're kind of small, so I have to read them. The 11th story is China's Xi Jinping set for third term at Communist Party Congress. Number 12, Patti LuPone gives up equity card, quits circus of Broadway. Number 13, Whoopi Goldberg wants Kiki Palmer, Lizzo, Nicki Minaj, and anyone who wants to have some fun to join Sister Act 3 cast. Number 14, Terrifier 2 fans are throwing up, fainting over gory horror movie. And number 15, MSU President Samuel Stanley resigns, says he lost confidence in Board of Trustees. To see more about this one, you'd have to go to the links we have there. We're not going to give a lot of love and time to these stories, but they do exist. They almost were in range for the top 10, but they weren't there. One story nowhere near the range. You call it the almost relevant story of the week, although it's not really that irrelevant. The Lincoln Project co-founder, Lincoln Project co-founder calls for a group to be reformed or shut down. This is a big deal. Too bad we can't talk much about it. Lincoln Project is getting even sick and tired of itself, and people want it to be changed or put down like the weird sort of, dying dog it is. Lincoln Project is a project of Republicans who formed together like Voltron to fight against Donald Trump. And what they've done is basically make themselves rich, which is, what those people do. I guess. Since I'm here, let's talk an ad. Let's talk about YouTube TV. If you watched a bunch of football this week and you're wondering how you can do it with a bunch of more ease than being tethered, that's a word, to your cable box, check out YouTube TV. They will give you 85 channels plus your local channels there as well. And you can watch YouTube TV on your own personal account, your own personal DVR. 6 people get an account, if you will, and watch anything you want to from wherever you want to, that being your phone, wherever you are, your tablet, wherever you are, your laptop, your computer, your smart TV, whatever device that you have that will have a little screeny thing on it, YouTube will let you get it on there with your little Google account. How about that? Check them out and get yourself 30 days free of the first month, 30 days off your first month. $30 off your first month. This is on the fly, folks. $30 off your first month of your subscription to YouTube TV. This is an affiliate link, so we get a little bit back as well, but check out what you get from them at This Is a Conversation Project.YouTube TV. This is a Conversation Project.YouTube TV. Check it out. Time to cut the cord. Time to step up the rest of us. YouTube TV is actually the number one streaming service out there by most accounts. Most people have got to it because it's easy to find, easy to use. There are other ones as well, but this is one that I've been using well before it got popular, and this is one I suggest you use as well. Very quickly remind you that our main website is thisisaconversationproject.com. Stop by that website, find more information about us, find links to more sponsors that can basically take care of you, links to our partnership opportunities so you can help us keep things going. Also links to our Facebook page, links to our Twitter account, links to our YouTube page, links to our TikTok. I would dance, but my dancing is horrible. All that can be found at thisisaconversationproject.com. Now, that is it. The weekly wrap up for the week ending October 22nd, 2022. Not too bad. Pretty quick. We're pretty proud of that. We're going to work on some of the presentations, some of the information, and give you a chance to click on the links to see what it is that we're providing. We're going to do that as well. Probably do less graphics, less fun stuff. So all that stuff going on. But I will also say, since I say it all the time, stay hydrated, stay limber, stay on task. We need you around for all the great things you need to be here for. Stay with us as we do great things. We're going to do something again about 12 hours from now, 10 hours from now, at about 5:50 in the morning. You will have me give you the top 10 stories from the past weekend, and we'll see how they play out, and we do it within time. So with time left, I did actually forget something. We're going to go back and sort of replay that. So there's also a thing that we're doing. Back when we had the podcast where we interviewed people and we talked about the top story of the week and they got a chance to talk about it. My top story based off of the things that went through is Tennessee stormed the field after Vols beat Alabama. So I got a chance to yak up the story that was there. So there's that. And now we are through. Thank you very much. No closing screen, no nothing. We're going to hit the end broadcast button and hope you enjoyed. If you like what you have going on, next time we may have a Chiron going too. stop by the feeds on Facebook and Twitter and put up your best stories.